And we are live. Welcome, everyone, to the Man Cave. I am Paul Knapp, and I will be your host for this evening show. Tonight is episode number 22, if you've been following my channel. And waiting in the green room, we have our special guest, Steve Stovall. Steve is the coordinator of the Kentuckiana G.I. Joe Toy Expo, being held July 29th of this month in Shepherdsville, Kentucky, and he will be here to discuss everything exciting and new and what's happening there and all the vendors that will be coming. So we're looking forward to talking to him in a little bit. As always, I'd like to give a shout out to a few channels. Greatest Toys Ever Made. Greatest Toys Ever Made. You might want to check them out. And also Toy Room of Insanity. I'm trying to get actually Toy Room of Insanity on my channel, or I'm going to do something on his channel in the very near future. So look forward to doing that. Thanks to all my subscribers, and a shout out to a few new ones: James Passman, Park Mall Buddy, and Cadet 80. Just one announcement: July 10th, our special guest will be Jeremy Milford Sr. Jeremy is the owner and operator of Pawtucket Platoon, and will be a vendor also at the coming up of the Kentuckiana show on July 29th. So let's go ahead and see who we got in our panel tonight. We have this gentleman here.
Hey, everybody. What's up?
Mr. Jim Egner, how are you tonight, sir?
Oh, doing pretty good. Trying to recover from the weekend.
I wanted
weekend hair on right now.
I wanted to do a band intro tonight, but we only had two guys, so it's going to be a small band. It's going to be the three of us, I guess. I was going to say on the drums tonight, this man put the hair in the big hair bands. It's Jim Egner.
Awesome.
You're the
big
drummer
hair,
tonight,
right?
brother.
Yeah,
Big Boss Jack is with
not
us
as big
already.
as it used to be. Oh, now I messed it up. Look at that. Fun stuff.
And on bass guitar, he's not working on his toy collection. He enjoys whale watching. This is Mike Bolinski.
Cheers, guys. How you doing?
How's the whale watching going on in the central part of the country?
They're attempting to transplant them into Lake Michigan right now. This is by my order, and these guys are having trouble though. Apparently, they can't find a truck big enough.
So we got three of us tonight. I guess I'm on lead guitar and keyboards tonight. We're going to bring Steve Stovall in. He's going to be our lead vocal for tonight.
All right. Oh,
but as always, before we get started with our special guest, I want to go around the room. Jim, what's new in your zoo, brother? What's new in your zoo?
Oh man, last weekend we had the DFW show. We just got back from it, trying to recover from all of that, and I've been sort of trying to catch up on stuff. Nothing really new and exciting. I guess the biggest thing right now I'm working on is it's a 1/6 scale version of a modified version of the Skyhawk for a Real American Hero. So this was something that I think Jeff asked about, and just been working on trying to break the models apart into pieces. So that, and I think I'm working on some what is it? The cots, the connector rods for the cots. So other than that, it's really been pretty slow for me. Regular work's gotten me instead. So
yeah.
That's it. Nothing fun and exciting. I don't have any show and tell right now. Oh,
I was gonna say life always gets in the way of toy soldiers and collecting and G.I. Joe.
I gotta get over on the right side here. Upside down backwards. I picked this up from a guy at the show, Saul Friedman. He was getting rid of most of his collection. He was moving to Florida, so picked that up. It's missing a couple pieces that I'm gonna make and 3D print and fix it up. So that was kind of fun. So
right on.
It's the only thing I bought at the show. So
we got Big Boss Jack in the house already. How you doing tonight, sir? And Skull Reviews, Peter, I sent you a link on the email, and we got slots for 2 more people if you want to give it a try. I don't know how the internet's working up there in New Jersey, but and we got this gentleman. What's new in your zoo, sir?
Oh, just the usual. Desperately trying to keep up with all the repairs people are asking me to do. Straightening out my Joe room, trying to catalog all of the figures and stuff I got, and a few little side projects like them pods I showed you guys earlier. Other than that, work, Joe's, fish, work.
I see you follow a lot of bands too. I'm a big live music watcher.
Oh yeah, Yeah, I do like the outdoor live music here in Waukesha. They have a like they call Friday Night Live, and the downtown businesses sponsor bands. So there's like half a dozen, eight bands sometimes, all
Yeah.
playing in the downtown area. They block it off, and you can walk the streets and stuff. It's pretty fun.
Very cool. Very cool. Tim's with us tonight. Tim, where are you? You're on the West Coast again. It's 5:00 his time. So his mom usually calls him in for dinner around 6. So he cuts out a little early all the time. All right. So, and we got Mike. Mike, I also sent you an email, man. If you want to check in, we got 2 more empty slots, bro. You're more than welcome to join us. We need 2 more members for this band. We need a lead guitar and a keyboard player. All right.
Who's singing? Was that Steve? Is he going to be singing?
Yes, Steve Stovall's our lead singer tonight. So Actually, I'm going to bring him in right now. For those of you that don't know, Steve is the founder of the Kentuckiana G.I. Joe and Toy Expo. He is dealing with the Super Joe Unlimited figures, which is he's going to hopefully fill us in on that. What's that?
You're breaking up.
You're breaking up on my end?
He's not breaking up over here.
I know. It looks good on my end. I hope not.
Yeah, you're freezing up on me.
What if I do that? Am I still freezing up? What if I do this? Is that better or no? Does that help?
You're sounding good now, but you were just right in the middle of your Steve intro there.
All right, so I'll go again. Steve Stovall. He is the founder of the Kentuckiana G.I. Joe and Toy Expo. He is also working on the Super Joe Unlimited figures, the 3D Super Joe website. He is the host of that, and he's also the owner and vendor of My Vintage Toys and Trains. I give you now, Mr. Steve Stovall. How you doing, sir?
Guys.
Hey, Steve.
Hopefully my internet will keep up with you tonight, Steve. I apologize. We've been having some bad storms here in Virginia Beach. Usually my internet's pretty good, but if I cut out, you guys just keep talking, okay?
No, yeah.
You betcha.
So, Steve, before I get started on my list of questions, tell me, are you real Kentucky? Born and raised.
Born and raised.
Born and raised. All right. Because I told you we're going to have a quiz later on how Kentucky are you. I just want to, you should get 100% on this, okay?
You'd think.
All right, man. Hey, I sent you a list of questions. I don't know if you had a chance to look those over, but I'm going to start from the top. And as you see on the right, people will be chatting in, and hopefully they'll ask some other questions as well. But first off, how did you come up with the idea of the Kentuckiana?
Well, about 10 years ago, or I guess longer than that, we had a local club of collectors in the Kentuckiana area, which is southern Indiana and the Louisville area in Kentucky. And we would meet every one Saturday each month and kind of, show each other the new Joes we've got, trade, do things and whatnot. And we went to conventions and things like that. And we always talked about, we should host a show here and just let people get together and whatnot. And so about 10 years ago, we were sitting around one of those meetings and said, you know what, let's just do it. And so the first one we set up back in 2014. And I think we had 13 tables for that show. And we let everybody set up for free, let people come in, got the first show going. And it's just been growing ever since. So that, here we are 10 years later. And it's one of the best shows out there, I think.
Well, I have yet to be there, but I will tell you, I just made my hotel reservation tonight. So
good deal.
I'm going to be there for 3 days. I'm going to make a little vacation out of it. I haven't been to Louisville in probably 20 years, so I want to go check that out as well. And hopefully meet up with you in person there, Steve.
Absolutely.
Jim, Mike, questions for this gentleman?
Yeah, I got one.
Oh, go for it, Mike. I was about to jump ahead of you there, buddy. Go.
Oh, okay. Real simple. You kind of partially answered it already.
Mm-hmm.
But as you've been doing the show since 2014, what's been the growth rate? I mean, I notice I see it every year, and I haven't got to go yet. But I mean, you guys seem to be growing by leaps and bounds. Is that am I perceiving this correctly?
It's just been beyond belief. The first, like I said, that first year we were in this hotel with a small conference room, 13 tables and whatnot. And then the next year we moved to a bigger hotel and took half of their large ballroom. And then the following year we took the whole ballroom and another room. And then kind of the year after that, we ended up taking all the conference rooms that they had in the hotel. and
Wow.
started setting people up in the hallways. Until it got to the point where it got to it wasn't practical to get everybody in there, and having 3 separate rooms really wasn't practical. And so we looked at different venues, and we found this other venue that we could get everybody in one room. We did that for our winter show, and it worked really well. So I'm really looking forward to it. This will be the first of the summer shows in the new venue. So it's just been incredible growth each year. I've got a waiting list for people that want to get in this year that I can't accommodate right now because we're packed.
Wow. I was going to say, I've been following your Facebook page for the Kentuckiana, and it's like every day you're posting somebody new vendor locked on, new vendor locked on. I was like, you got to have like 50, 60, 70 vendors, man.
We're about 50 vendors, I think. Yeah. Is
really?
Where it's going to end up falling out at. Yeah.
Dude, that's going to be awesome, man.
And I've probably got about 15 on a waiting list. So I'm looking at some other options next year. There's some additional options that we can do at the space we're at now. It just requires us doing a different room, which I don't necessarily want to do right now. I like having everybody in one room. It works really better.
Gotcha.
My question for you, Steve, was I know at the DFW show, which is really the only show I've been able to attend over the last forever, they usually have some sort of panel where they talk about some sort of topic, and it's kind of off the main floor. Usually it's kind of in a conference room. Does the Kentuckiana show do something like that?
We're going to experiment with that this year. In the past, we haven't been able to because, like I said, we took every conference room that the hotel had and set vendors up in there. And I had people that wanted to do something, and we just couldn't accommodate them. With the new hotel, there's some extra breakout rooms, and we've got one that we're going to use for our contest entries, and we're going to kind of break half that room out and have it set up for a panel discussions. And I really only scheduled one. Greg Attore that worked with Hasbro and did some designing stuff and whatnot. He's going to be there and set up at the show, and he's going to do a little presentation about some of the things in the classic collection and how the development process worked at Hasbro.
Oh, okay, cool.
So we'll do that.
Sounds interesting.
If it goes over well, then we'll add more next year and do other things.
Now, do you incorporate? Sorry, it's my
Jim's from Texas. You
gotta just be Texas, dude.
There's plenty of y'alls around here in Kentucky too. So
okay.
Hey,
Sorry,
I'm from Wisconsin. I say that sometimes.
Do y'all have some kind of like a diorama contest and that sort of thing at your show?
We have 2 contests right now. The figure contest, custom figure contest, is sponsored by Matt Squatch Customs, and we've been doing that for, I think this will be 3 or 4 years now, probably 4. And then a couple of years ago, Cotswold Collectibles sponsored a diorama contest. So that's the 2 contests that we have right now. Now that we have more room, we may add some additional contests in the future. I'm looking at maybe potentially a photography contest, because when they had the national show, I always thought that was neat to see what people could do, posing the figures up and stuff. And so that's something we've kind of looked at.
Okay, awesome. Last question, exclusives. I've got one that was the Buzz, what was it, the moon landing one? I think that was from several years ago. About the same time I was doing the Space-O-Matic, you guys were doing that and didn't know it. They were doing
well, that was the one that we had the show scheduled, and then we were doing prep work for the show. And one of the people involved in our local club said, that's the 50th anniversary of the moon landing that day. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, hell, then we have to do a special set for it. And so that's what led to it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So is there a special
there is and we're trying something really unique this year. The theme is the invasion of Spy Island. And so we've got one main design show set. And then I've asked some of the other vendors that build sets, like Cotswold and Matt Squatch and Terrell Ashby and Brad Curry, to, kind of add an additional set on, so that, they'll have a set available that plays into the same theme. So I think the Cotswold one is going to be Spy Island, aerial attack, and it's going to have some adventure team coming in from the air to the Spy Island. Terrell, because he does wetsuits, is going to have I forgot what the underwater infiltration, I think, is. And
Yeah,
so
I might know the guy doing the 3D.
You might know that. You might. Doing the scuba, he's doing the scuba suit, and it's going to have a sea sled type device with it.
Yeah.
And then Matt's going to do where the adventure team is seeking some assistance from the British SAS, and so he's going to do an SAS figure and some accessories. And then our main set, besides coming with a figure, it's going to come with a couple of uniforms for security guards for Spy Island that are going to look an awful lot like what was in the Peter Pan record for the Spy Island set.
Okay.
That's cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's not exactly like, but similar. And then there's going to be a tower, a radar tower, which Brad Curry with The Active Toys is helping do part of that. That's going to come with it. So that's what they're going to go in and knock the tower out, so that everybody else could come in on the invasion. So what we've done is we've asked the other vendors to participate. So we're calling it the largest convention set ever. If you get all four, I think it's
all the pieces.
Let's see,
and they'll all be available there. Do you got to pre-order or what?
No, it's available there. And I've asked each of the vendors that are participating to have at least 20 sets available. That seems to be a good number for our show. More than that probably is a little too many. And so, they'll be there. We'll have one main table up by our booth that'll show all the sets. And then you can, you'll be able to get the Cotswold set from Greg at his table. You'll be able to get the Matt Squatch set from Matt at his table. And Terrell will have his set over there. But we'll have one table that has them all displayed so you can see them all and get all the pieces together.
That'll be cool.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while. We've been doing just like a single set and whatnot. And I said, we've got all these great creative people that are setting up at the show. Let's incorporate their skills in it and make one big set.
Oh, yeah.
And
it makes sense.
Yeah.
And they can still order it like from Brad or Jim later. I mean,
yeah.
If they don't get to the show or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope Brad Curry is set up for credit card, because it sounds like I'm going to be buying a lot of shit in a couple weeks, man.
There will be a lot there to pick up. There's always a lot of good stuff.
Now, this is, correct me if I'm wrong, this is more geared to the 1/6 scale collector, right? Unlike Joe Lanta or Joe Fest, I should say, Joe Fest.
To a certain extent, when we started the show, like I said, it started out of our monthly club meetings. And most of the folks in the club were 1/6 scale collectors. So that's the initial, I guess, kind of theme of it. But we've added a number of 3 3/4 dealers, and I think we're probably 70% 1/6, 30% 3 3/4. Whereas something like Joe Fest is probably like 95% 3 3/4.
Yeah.
So we're. We still have a good, if you're looking for vintage 12-inch, I think we're the best show out there for that.
Right on.
Very cool. I remember starting out when the DFW show was in a church.
And
we
came down for that one.
Yeah. And, I loved it. And it was 80% 1/6 scale and 20%, 3 3/4. And I think this last show, the first time I set up as a vendor there, it was probably 50-50, if not more, 3 3/4. So I felt like it had kind of the scales had tipped a little bit, away from the 1/6 scale as the primary focus. So it's good to hear that the Kentucky show is going to be mostly 1/6. Yeah, that's awesome.
So official Lennard Toys news says, "Let's rally the troops and support the Super Joe Unlimited Kickstarter." Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the Super Joe Unlimited Kickstarter is from Power Comics. They're doing, we've started the Super Joe line, and it's been out, and I guess got the first figures in December of last year. The project that we started working on back in 2017. So it's been a long time coming, but we actually got them out, and we've got the figures and whatnot. And so what Power Comics is doing with the Kickstarter, they want to do a comic book kind of go in through it.
We've had Mr. Austin Huff on before.
Correct. And so they, so they're sort of a licensee of us to use the Super Joe name and idea and intellectual property to do the comic book. So it's I think it's in its last week now, and it's really close to hitting the number. So hopefully it'll do that, and we'll get to read the Power Comics version of Super Joe.
That'd be awesome.
Talking like a full-length comic book, not like the little ones that came with the old sets.
It's a full-size comic book. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Next you got another question? Or you want me to go?
Go, Paul. Do it.
Right on. Can you? You said there's about 50 vendors coming or so. Can you name some of the top ones that you haven't mentioned already? Like, I know Brad Curry's going to be there, and a couple of the other ones. But can you? I don't want you to hit all 50, but
I'll throw you out some names. But probably most all of the major 12-inch GI Joe dealers are at our show. Our booth is My Vintage Toys and Trains, and since this is our home show, we have a much bigger booth. I set up at the Dallas show and just set up a small table and just had Super Joe figures. When we set up at Joanna and stuff like that, we'll have a regular booth with a lot of vintage Joe and whatnot. We'll have pretty much a good chunk of a wall there with various vintage figures and sets and whatnot. Ricky Puckett, who's been a long time dealer in the 12-inch GI Joe, he was at our first show. He's a local, so he'll be there. Ace Allgood sets up at our show. Paul Nordstrom's another 12-inch dealer. We've got Daryl DePriest setting up at our show. This year, I've got James DeSimone coming to the show.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Let me see. I'm sure I'm forgetting some. Dave Oestreicher, a gentleman out of Ohio that has a lot of nice 12-inch stuff, will be there.
You got people signing autographs?
We do have one guest. We're trying that this year too. Now that we've got the bigger area, we've had our first guest is Ron Rudat, who worked as a designer at Hasbro and an artist before that. He's more famously known for designing the Cobra logo and a lot of the 3 3/4 figures and whatnot. But he also did the art for the panels in the back of the MSV, and he did the art for the Seawolf comic book.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So he'll be there. This is our first time having a celebrity guest, so to speak, and so we'll have him there, and we'll see how that goes. And if it works, that'd be something we'll look to add.
Skull Reviews had a question there earlier. It said something about with the Super Joe. Are you planning on doing one without the beard, like a plain Super Joe?
We have that now.
We do?
Yeah, we have, and we'll have at the show a full selection of them. When the first run of Super Joes that came out, we did the bearded commander with because the original Super Joe line had a commander with a black beard, and a Super Joe adventurer with black hair, and then it had African American commander with no beard and an African American adventurer with no beard, and then you had the Shield, Darkon, Gore, and Luminos as your 8 figures. So when we came out and did the first figures, we said, let's make some of the figures that Hasbro didn't make. So we did a commander with brown hair and beard, red hair and beard, blonde head and beard, and did the same thing for the adventurer with no beard, just blonde hair, brown hair, and red hair. And then of course we did the African American one with a beard, since Hasbro never did that. And then we did an unbearded version as well. And so those have been out since December, and we were selling them at shows, and White Elephant Toys was selling them on their website. And then we kind of did a project with Cotswold Collectibles where we did our first box figures. And so for Cotswold, we did they had first dibs on Darkon and the black bearded commander. So those are the 2 that came out there. And then we'll probably come in the future release. We will have a black-haired just adventurer. We will have a version of Gore. He won't look exactly like the original Gore because you'd have to tool a whole new body. So it'd be something similar. And then we've got some other little surprises in and out that we're going to bring out.
Somebody's got to make a Terron, man, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
Jim Egner, you're 3D printing one of those,
Oh
right?
man.
For 12-inch scale. For 12
Hey
inch
Jim,
scale,
you
not-
print
not
it up. I'll
8.
figure out how to make it walk.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Peter
Awesome.
from Skull Review said 12-inch clean shaven Super Joe.
That's probably on the agenda. I can't give you a time frame, but because the 12-inch Super Joe heads did really well. So yeah, that'll probably be out there eventually.
All right, cool.
I guess that spawns a question from me, and that is, how has the reception been thus far with this new Super Joe Unlimited line?
Oh, it's been outstanding. I mean, we did our first run, like I said, that it was delivered in December, and we kind of split them. I took half of them to sell at shows and whatnot, and through our eBay store. And Jason, who's the gentleman that I work with on the project, he took half of them through White Elephant, and I think within the first couple of weeks he was sold out of his inventory. I mean, so we went back and did our second run and did a lot more. In fact, the second run, my half of the shipment, which came it came the Friday that I went to Joe Fest, it was 37 boxes were delivered. So we have a lot of stuff.
Very cool.
And Jason got 37 boxes as well. And then I think that was the shipment that Cotswold got. And I forget how many boxes they got.
Steve, I don't know if you can see that chat from Official Leonard Toys. We need a Super Joe female. Oh.
Potential.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Everything. We've bounced a lot of ideas around there. That's out there. Jason's been kind of tweaking something. The flip side is it's a new mold, and molds are expensive.
Sure.
So not soon, but potential. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Mike, you got anything or?
No, I'm just kind of absorbing the info here. I'm not really into Super Joe all that much, so I'm learning a little bit. Keep on talking, Steve.
Yeah, Super Joe was neat. He was there, at the end of the 12-inch line. Did that a little 2-year run, and Hasbro put quite a bit of effort in the first year, and then which was 77, and then in 78 they didn't put as much effort into it, and by that time Kenner had come out with Star Wars and 3 3/4 figures, and that just killed everything.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep. I remember that as a kid. I was like probably 14 when those things came out, a little too old for Joe, and I remember looking at them and thinking, boy, they really kind of wrecked that.
Do you think shrinking it down to the 8-inch made a huge difference? I mean, why it wasn't as popular as 12-inch? I mean,
no, I think probably what hurt it really was Star Wars. I think if Star Wars hadn't been out and it probably would have taken off, because it was 8.5 inch, and Mego was and I think Big Jim was 9 inch, and Megos were 8 inches, and they were all doing well at that smaller size, and so I think the Super Joe would have worked at that size. I know at the time, I grew up on Adventure Team and 12-inch G.I. Joe. When Super Joe came out, I had nothing to do with it. I didn't like it. It was like, that's not G.I. Joe. That's too small.
That was my feeling. Exactly. Yeah.
But I think probably, the kids that were younger than us that would have come into that time, and if that would have been what was out there for them. In fact, in setting up at shows, I've talked to people that their first G.I. Joe was Super Joe, and they just really enjoyed it. Yep. But then Star Wars happened, and that changed everything, Yeah.
So I tell you, when Austin was on, and he was giving us that backstory on where he's going with the comic book with Super Joe.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna,
it should be entertaining.
Really take off if it sounds the way he wants it to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It should be entertaining.
Yeah. So, hey, where do you think the 1/6 scale is heading right now? I always ask my guests. I mean, do you think it's?
I think it's in a good spot to a certain extent, because you look at Jason, who's my partner on the Super Joe, has started a 1/6 scale line called Combat Man, and he's done some figures, and he's done some heads, and they've sold really well. And then, he kind of designed that bag of accessories that comes with the Magnum Power rifle.
Yeah,
and all
I
the other
bought
stuff.
that. That's awesome.
Isn't that that's a great value. Everything you get in there for, $25. And so that's helping. And then you look at the stuff that Greg's doing over at Cotswold and whatnot. And then you've got some of these custom makers like Mark Cole, who will be at our show, that does the really nice high-end handmade 1/6 uniforms. I mean, it's not going to be to the level where it's going to be back in the stores again, but I think there's enough creativity out there that there's going to be some neat things popping up. And then you got stuff like what Jim's doing where he's 3D printing things. I picked up one of your Space-O-Matics. I think that's the coolest damn thing.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And you look at the stuff like, Brad Curry's doing with Be Active Toys and that, and you get a lot of neat creativity in here. And I think just, once you've got 3D printing and you've got a lot of people doing stuff through Kickstarter. I mean, it's real with the 3 3/4 figures and going to Joe Fest and seeing how many people are starting up lines through Kickstarter and manufacturing it over in China and that. I mean, the potential's there.
Yep. As somebody else always says on his YouTube channel, fans are making the best stuff.
Yeah.
It's not coming from Hasbro anymore. It's coming from the fans that really want the 1/6 scale stuff. So
Agreed.
Hey, Gage, I'm going to say hi to some people that chimed in here. Geography in Action. His mom called him for dinner too, so he's got to go. He's up in he's one of our Canada fans, so he's got to go. And Gage is he's one of our younger guys. That leads me into the next question. Do you see many younger collectors coming to shows now, or is it still just us old guys?
There are some younger collectors coming, and the surprising thing is there's some of them that really know the vintage stuff well. They'll come in and they can converse with you, and they know the 60s GI Joe, they know the Adventure Team, and they know some of the other stuff. I wish it was a bigger group, but the fact that there still is some out there is positive.
Yeah.
God, yeah. Sam Burchett, geez, that kid knows more about the 60s stuff than I do. That's a fact.
Oh, Sam, yeah,
man. Granted, I'm an Adventure Team type, but still, my God.
And he's an Action Man too. He knew.
Oh, hell yeah!
All that Action Man stuff. I was just learning Action Man, after Analog Toys started talking about it, and then
I just got my first one at the Chicago show, back in April, and I showed that off. He was just telling me all kinds of stuff, and like, damn, kid. It's like he opened up his head and it just all kind of poured in there or something.
He's what, 14, 15 years old?
Something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
So, well, that answers that question. Hey, what kind of toys did you collect when you were younger, Steve? Let's learn a little bit about you.
Well, it was mainly GI Joe Adventure Team, and then additionally Migos, the superhero figures and stuff like that, and probably the first run of Star Wars. I did have some of those. It was out there. It was entertaining, and then kind of grew out of it.
Any favorite buddy from grade school that you still hang out with or collected toys with? Or
unfortunately, no.
Nobody else still collects.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. I'm a soloist over here.
Yeah.
Well, at least from people I knew as in childhood, but and this really came through when they had the GI Joe Collectors Club, and they had encouraged groups to start local divisions of it. And a gentleman named Larry Weiss, who's the other gentleman that produces the Kentuckiana show with me, he took that up and sent out letters to people and started a local club. And so I guess we've been friends for 25 years now. Because this will be this, I kind of did the math, and this is the 25th year that we've had our local club together. Now it doesn't meet every week like it did now. In fact, we kind of only meet to talk about the show and for the show. But you met a good group of people there, and then going to different, going to the conventions, because I went to I don't know how many of the conventions that Brian Savage put on that we went to, and just you meet a lot of people there. And then you go down to shows like Toylanta and Joe Fest and out to DFW, and you meet a lot of people, and you have that community that way.
Mhm.
Steve, do you remember when you stopped collecting as a kid, or stopped playing as a kid and started collecting as an adult, when that took over, or did you always collect?
No, it was probably out of grade school, is when I stopped. And then, strangely enough, because we had like Best of the West and Mego and the other figures, apparently we sold or got rid of or gave away all that. But my brother, I have an older brother, he's about 2.5 years older than me. For some reason, we did keep our G.I. Joes. We didn't keep all the vehicles, but we did keep the figures and some of the stuff. He kept some nice stuff. He had a 5-star Jeep in the box and a training center in the box and a Seawolf. All my boxes, I think, got destroyed as a kid, but I still had some of my original figures. And then I think it was probably when they did the 30th anniversary back in 94, when they came back with those figures, that kind of got back into collecting. And then I think in 95, I went to the convention that they did in Chicago, and that's probably when it kind of restarted. And then, then the internet came up and eBay come up, and and it starts like this. I just want to get a couple of the ones that I had as a kid, and it's like, I get the ones I wanted as a kid that I didn't have. And it's like, I get the ones that
I lied to myself too.
And then it's pretty much, now I got everything,
Yep.
That's the way it goes.
I don't know if you can see behind me, but that's 500 G.I. Joes on the wall, brother. So, yeah, it doesn't stop, man. It's kind of
you got that many, Paul?
Oh yeah, and I just found one more on eBay today that I thought I had, but I don't have. So
I thought I was bad at 150. Shit.
Oh, 150.
Dude. I will not admit to how many I have.
Because your wife's watching the show, or what?
It's nowhere near Paul's, but yeah, it's yeah. I remember my first, I stopped collecting. I was, went to college, and the Desert Storm, Desert Shield had come out, and Target came out with the Talking Duke figure and the chocolate chip.
Oh, yeah, I remember him. Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, there's a G.I. Joe that you can get at the store now. I hadn't seen those in years. Wonder where mine are. And so next thing I knew, I was in Mom's attic digging through boxes and found my stuff. So that started me down the slippery slope of collecting.
It's a slippery slope, isn't it, man? You can go down that rabbit hole real quick. I'm just wondering how much money I should bring to this Kentuckiana, man. Like, you're talking
take it all with you, dude.
You're talking 50
you're going to spend.
I'm telling you, I hope they all take credit card, because I can see myself dropping a few dimes, man.
Well, the convention center does have an ATM.
Credit card.
Does have an ATM. All right, man. That's good.
And there are plenty of banks nearby with ATMs. I do think that in the winter show, I do think they did run the ATM out of money, though.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Really? That's funny.
Leonard Toy, yes, there was one G.I. Joe I just stumbled upon. I was looking for a SWAT G.I. Joe, and I thought for sure I had this guy, but it was a SWAT guy from 2002 I did not have. So I unfortunately dropped $125 on one figure today. So
oh my.
Yeah.
Now, Paul, all your stuff's classic collection stuff, right?
Well, the ones I have down here in the garage are from 1991 to 2013. These are just the ones that were available at Toys R Us or KB Toys and all that. So I tried to get one of every one they made. Okay. Of course, I take it out of the box and display it, so they're not worth as much money anymore. But yeah, so that was my objective when I started this. And I've got 512 right now, but I guess I got 513.
Ain't no fun looking at a box, man.
513's on the way right now.
So that
swear to God, I would open a vintage Magnum Power.
So that included the Hall of Fame figures.
Oh yeah, every one they made, and every accessory one too. All the accessory sets. Yeah.
Steve, I'm sorry, we kind of got sidetracked there for you, but there's a kind of a point to it, and that has to do. You mentioned molds and the expense of molds and the bodies, and I know that's why Hasbro recycled those Hall of Fame bodies back in the day. It was cheaper to just reuse the molds that they already had, that they were already doing something else with, and rebrand it. Maybe do a head sculpt or something and then call it G.I. Joe. feel like that's kind of how they handled that. But the molds that you have for your figures, the Super Joe Unlimited, is that new stuff that you've created, or how did that process work?
Yeah, we had new molds made.
Okay.
Jason had, I guess originally he had worked with David Lee, and they had they did. I forget what the name of the company was, but they did some Mego type figures, 8-inch scale figures,
Okay. Yeah.
and whatnot. And so they had contacts, with a factory over in China that he had worked with for a while. And then he did recently he did a 3 3/4 line Strike Force, and did that. And so in the way it kind of started is I originally started talking with David Lee, who I met at one of the I think the 2017 convention in Disney, about doing remanufacturing hands and joints for Super Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually he said, well, you really need to talk to Jason. Jason does a lot more with the factory. So then I started talking to Jason, and as we got more and more into it, Jason said, well, what would you think about if we, instead of just making hands and joints, we did the whole figure? And so we kind of bounced that around. We said, well, we could do some changes to it, because the original Super Joe didn't have a flexible ankle. We said, we could kind of fix that and give it a flexible ankle, and do a couple other things and give some more articulations to the hands and whatnot. And so then, and through the process, we had new molds made for the body, and he did some design tweaks on it and whatnot, so that we made it better. And then, whereas the original one was kind of built the same way as the Muscle Body Joe, with rubber joints, which fell apart after a certain period in time. His kind of thought was, well, they had done what they refer to in Mego as a Type S bodies, which are kind of plug in like the original vintage G.I. Joes. They said, what if we change the joints to something like that? They would be more durable, they'll last longer. And so, we did some changes on that, which was some different re-engineering that he did. But so all that is brand new.
So that leads me to my next question. Sorry, Paul, didn't mean to.
No.
How compatible with the vintage stuff are those body parts? I mean, if somebody had an old busted up Super Joe, would they be able to get parts to interchange?
You can take the new hands that we're making and use them, but the one thing that you may have to do, because the vintage plastic shrinks over time, and it shrinks. So you may have to take a Dremel and Dremel a little bit on the joint, on the peg, to get it to go in, but the hand should go in just fine, and work well. I did, because somebody had asked, I did a test with one of the forearms, and the forearm will plug into the elbow, the elbow and the bicep of the original Super Joe, but the joint was a little looser, so I put some painter's tape around it to thicken it up, and that would fit in and does well. I haven't really figured a good way to do to adapt the legs to it, but give us time. We'll play around with it, and we're still, we had molds made for the joints and the hands, and we're still tweaking around that to try and get something where we can get some kits out to repair them, but that's just taking a little longer than.
Sounds like a job for Medic Mike down there, huh?
Yeah,
and
that's why I'm listening so intently.
Part of it is
working up there. What?
Yeah, and part of it is after we got the new figures in, it's like the new figures are nice and solid and durable, and it's like, well, we kind of lost interest in some of the repair kits, saying, hey, we got new figures to play with in there.
Sell those instead of the kits, right?
Scale, and all the old accessories fit perfectly on the new figures. All the new accessories we make will fit on the vintage figures and that. And so it's just been, it's by design, but
like official Leonard says he bought the just the heads though too. You can just buy the heads and through Cotsworld, right?
Yes.
And then just adapt them to whatever figure you have.
Yeah.
Kind of plug and play sort of thing.
Okay, let's get some ideas going in my head. Hey, I've got a question for you, Steve. Out of curiosity, obviously the original Super Joe line didn't last all that long.
Mm-hmm.
How many figures do you think were made? Are there a hell of a lot of them out there? I mean, I've been fixing these guys for the vintage stuff and the muscle bodies for probably almost 6 years now. I've never had a Super Joe fall into my hands yet to be fixed. How many of them you think are still out there?
There's a good number. They did make a big push in '77 when they rolled out the line.
Okay.
They really did. Now, mainly it's the Super Joe with the beard. The Super Joe Commander. They made a whole lot more of him. They made him both years. The Super Joe Adventure figure without the beard was only made 1 year, and then the two African American versions were much lower quantities made on those. In that, so I mean, if you found one, you're probably going to find a Commander figure, and they're out there now. Unfortunately, and I'm probably responsible for this. When I did the 3D Super Joe site and did a lot of the other stuff, they've all gotten a whole lot more expensive now. You used to be able to get them dirt cheap, but once we came up with a method to kind of repair them to display and put that on the 3D Super Joe site, then you started seeing the prices go up.
Sure,
Then,
okay, kind of like muscle bodies, huh?
Yeah.
As soon as the kits became available, then everybody wanted the darn things. I remember like 10 years ago, you couldn't give them away, but now people are sending me totally shattered, black muscle bodies and saying, please glue this back together,
And now that we've got new Super Joe figures, I think the Super Joe accessories and stuff are going to start going up in price again.
Just, I'm going to keep an eye on that. That's interesting. I'm hoping somebody will send me one to fix just out of curiosity to see how it all goes together and everything.
Shoot me a message later and I'll send you one. I've got boxes of them.
Oh, seriously? Cool. Yeah. Thank you, dude.
Yeah, I'll send you one.
There you go.
You can play around with it and see what you can do.
I got one more question for you before we go into our trivia for tonight. Okay, Steve?
Sure thing.
Give me one good childhood memory that you remember regarding your toys. Doesn't have to be G.I. Joe, but just you got one?
It actually is G.I. Joe. It's kind of funny. I had a Sandstorm Survival Jeep, and I remember having it out, and I'd play with it in the yard and whatnot. And a kind of a windstorm came through and just picked the Jeep up in the air, flipped it over a couple times.
A real Sandstorm Survival, legit, man.
It legitimately did. It flipped it up. Joe fell out and pieces. I think the tailgate broke and everything, but it was kind of fun.
Yeah, I was not allowed to take my G.I. Joes outside kind of kid. They were hand-me-downs from my brother. I had the 64 ones, the originals.
Yep.
So he was in college, and he said, you can play with these, but you can't take them outside. And, man, that just killed me, man. That just killed me.
We always took them outside. Doug
they were made to take outside. They were made to be
holes in the ground and put them in, set their tents up and let them camp out overnight, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Should have seen the reaction some people got when I videoed my Seawolf in the river nearby. I took that vintage toy out there, I dunked it in the river and tried it out.
I had a buddy that said when he was a kid, he put his ATV in a stream and got on a little overpass bridge and watched it go under and said, "Oh man, that's cool." And then he realized, "Oh shit, there it goes." Chase it down.
It's gone, man.
Oh man. Yeah, my Joes were played in the land, on the pool, and in the air. Yeah.
Hey, that's making childhood memories right there, man.
That's what they're there for. I'm just dying to fly the Skyhawk I got sitting under the bench here. I just got to put it back together.
That thing never got off the ground, man. I tell you, it looked cool on the on the commercials. They made it work somehow, but
yeah. We'll try it without Joe first and see what happens.
I'm trying to read some of these chats on the side here. If you guys got any more questions for Mr. Steve here before we quiz him on how Kentuckian he really is, and Steve, you want to say anything more about the show before?
I think it's going to be, like I say, it's been growing every year. I think this one's going to be really big. We've got a lot of excitement for it. It's our new venue, so we've got everybody in one room. We've got a lot of new vendors. We've got, all the vendors that have been here in the past coming back. We've got Ron Rudat coming, which is going to be really neat. Yep. I'm actually trying to get a blow up of the Seawolf art that he did. So get some of that printed maybe, and so get him to sign it and whatnot.
Yeah,
I talked to him and his wife at I talked to him a year ago at Joe Fest, and I talked to him again at DFW. Really nice people, and just a fascinating gentleman. So I think that's going to be great. We have our sponsors for our contest, and we always have really good entries in that. And then we're going to try having a seminar, a little roundtable type discussion this year. So it just keeps growing and getting better each year, and it's more fun.
And it's all on Saturday, right? Not a Friday.
Well,
Saturday?
we do a preview on Friday night. So,
okay.
So what we do is, the dealer setup and dealer setup is usually around 2:00 or so. And then from 5 to 8, we have a Friday night preview package that you can buy that'll also get you early bird on Saturday. So you can come in and shop on Friday night, or you can wait till Saturday and come in and do early bird or do general admission and spend the day.
Now, I'm a diorama guy, so you piqued my interest on that. Is it already closed, or is it like something that's open to anybody, or you got to pay admission?
It's open to anybody. We've got on the website, www.kygijo.com. We've got a page on there that talks about the diorama contest and the figure contest, and it has a form. I think it's a form for you to download and fill out to bring with you. But a couple, when we did it in the past, we tried to have people register in advance because we were limited in our space, and we didn't want to, it was one of those things. Do you have more dioramas? Do you have more dealers? And so now we've got lots of space. So we've got a whole separate room for the dioramas and the figure contest. So, we're not limiting how many we have. If you come out on Saturday, bring it with you. If you got the paperwork there, filled out ahead of time, that's great. If not, we'll have paperwork there. You can fill it out and set it up and win maybe.
What I'm thinking, Jim, is that diorama I made that had all your stuff in it and had all Brad Curry stuff in it.
You should do it.
I might have to pack that up in the
going.
Jeep, and I might have to pack that up in the Jeep and take it to Kentucky at the end of the month.
Man, you ought to.
And I will say the last time I looked, the prizes in the diorama contest and the figure contest were higher at our show than any of the other shows that I'm aware of that have contests.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know, Mike. What do you think, man?
I'm
making the 10-hour drive now. I might as well do it, right?
There you go.
Go for it, man. Yeah, it's closer to me than it is to you. Damn, I'm gonna have to make some serious plans for this. I had Scott Wild been bugging me the past 2 years to get down there.
That's right.
I ain't been able to make it happen.
Yeah, Scott's there every year.
I just saw Scott up last year in Pennsylvania at the Hershey show.
Oh yeah. As a matter of fact, I've been talking to him. He's coming to Chicago for his for a high school reunion. So I'll probably be meeting him at the weekend of the Chicago Toy Show. So that ought to be pretty fun.
Oh, that's a great show.
Yeah, I go down there as often as I can. I just live up in Waukesha in Wisconsin, so I'm close.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All right, we got about 5 minutes left, so that gives us time for my quick quiz here. If you're all right with that, Steve.
Let's do it.
All right, man. So I'll tell you what, Steve. I'm gonna give these guys the easy ones.
Okay.
And
And
that anybody should know, even if you're from
Texas,
Minnesota or Wisconsin. Where are you from, Mike?
Ooh, me?
I know he's
Wisconsin.
from Texas. Wisconsin.
Waukesha, Wisconsin.
There you go. All right. So,
man,
what is the state grass of Kentucky, Mike?
Bluegrass.
Bluegrass. Right on. Jim.
No, I don't know.
You should know this. You're a drinker. What kind of whiskey is made in Kentucky?
I don't know. Bourbon, huh?
Oh, very good. Very good, man. This is an easy one, too. The largest amount of gold in the world is stored at what Kentucky facility? This would be Steve's.
You better know this, dude.
Fort Knox.
Yeah,
if you've seen Goldfinger, you know that.
We stumped them on the first one.
Hey, are they going to change that base name? Are they going to change that to something else? They changed
I don't think so.
Hood down here. You know,
I don't think that's one of the ones they're changing. Back to Mike. Which giant cave is a major tourist attraction in Kentucky?
Mammoth Cave.
Wow.
Oh, you're looking at the same cheat sheet there, Mike. That
Is
isn't.
I've been there. That's how I know.
You're not supposed to be Googling this stuff, Mike. Okay.
My hands are empty.
Jim, what horse track hosts the longest continually running horse race in the U.S. The Kentucky Derby.
The Kentucky Derby. That's all I know, man. I don't know
What's the
anything.
name of the horse track?
I have no idea.
Oh, Steve.
Churchill
Going to
Downs.
Steve.
Churchill Downs.
Downs.
Okay, yeah.
Churchill
See, you put me on the
Downs.
spot, I freeze up, dude. Come on. I
Back
thought that was a
to,
Kent Town races or something. You know,
I guess we're going back to Mike. What is the town of Middlesboro built inside of?
I'll be damned if I know. You stumped me on that.
Yeah. Jim?
I don't know.
I wasn't paying attention.
You're a professor at a college, correct?
I
You're
work
working
at
on
IT at a college, man. I
Okay.
don't know anything.
I'm just checking, making sure here. Hey, Steve, I got to warn you. This is where our show kind of goes awry sometimes, man. We just, you know,
Yeah,
if you
well,
want to hang up now, I totally understand. I totally understand. What is the town of Middlesboro built inside of?
A cave.
No. Steve. Mr. Kentucky.
I'm not sure I know that.
Yeah.
A forest.
It says a meteor crater.
Huh.
Did you know
Really?
that?
Huh.
That's cool.
That's different. All right.
That's what the internet said. So I'm
not going to forget that. My brain is full of useless trivia. That's going to stay.
What common office paper product is produced primarily in Cynthiana, Kentucky? Back to Mike.
Oh man, that's another one I have no clue. Cynthiana? Is that
I
what
think
you
that's how
said?
to pronounce it. Am I right on that, Cynthiana, Steve?
Cynthiana's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Office supply. Huh?
An office supply.
You
You probably use it. You probably use it every day. I know I use it every day.
Staples.
Nope.
I guess.
Can I
Post-it
keep guessing?
notes,
Say again, Jim.
but I was guessing Post-it notes, but
You are correct. Post-it notes are made in Cynthiana, Kentucky.
Yay for Jim.
Yep.
I accidentally fell on one there.
All right. Steve, you're up.
All right.
The first Kentucky Fried Chicken run by the Colonel himself was in what Kentucky town?
Corbin, Kentucky.
Corbin, Kentucky. You are correct, sir. You might be a Kentuckian. You might be a Kentuckian. Back to Mike.
Hey, is it
Mike,
still in business?
It is.
This is a three answers here, buddy. Okay.
Okay.
Which Native American tribes were most prominent in the state before white settlers?
Oh God. Which three?
Yeah, there's
I'm gonna
three.
just
Just try to
go
guess one.
I'm just gonna guess. Cree.
No. Jim.
Cherokee.
Cherokee is one. And Steve?
Mohawk.
Iroquois.
Mohican.
Mohican is no. Nope.
Iroquois.
No, sir.
Potawatomi.
Nope.
Damn.
Alabama Coshada.
No. I'm looking to see if anybody is chatting in because sometimes they're a little lagged behind us. But
Yeah, but I should know this. I read Daniel Boone's
Cherokee.
autobiography.
Mohawk? No, sorry, Tim. It is not Mohawk. It is Cherokee, Shawnee, and Chickasaws. Jim, you're up.
Oh crap.
We got two questions left. Two questions. How many states does Kentucky border? I did
4.
not know this one. I had to look this one.
That's easy if you think about it.
I'm guessing 4, but I'm not looking at a map either.
No.
No.
I can visualize the map in my head.
Yeah, go ahead. You're a geography kind of guy?
Oh, yeah. Give me a sec.
No. Good, Mike.
Yeah.
I gotta visualize it in my head. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. I think Jim is correct. 4.
No.
7.
No?
It is 7. Steve, on
Really?
the ball,
That many?
brother.
Okay.
Wow.
Name the
How can you
states. man.
name them? Because I can't. It is 7, though.
Indiana, Tennessee, Illinois, West Virginia, Ohio. I'm not
was
sure.
gonna say
who-
that-
is it-
That's 6.
That's 6. There's a 7th one in there. Mississippi or Missouri or something like that, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know.
Can't
one
be.
of
That's
them's
too
over
far
that way.
south.
All right, the last question is going back to you, Steve.
No, thank goodness.
What fruit is Kentucky known for? I've never heard of this fruit in my life. And I plan on getting some when I'm there. So if it's that popular, I'm going to try some.
I don't know a particular fruit.
What?
Pawpaws.
Pawpaw, you are correct, sir.
Okay.
I don't
What
even
the
know what
heck
a
is a
pawpaw
pawpaw?
was.
They got a real short season.
Really?
Very
Granted, I'm a
short. They probably
freaking
have-
Yankee, but come on.
Wow.
It's
Never
a
heard of
North
it.
American banana, basically.
That's what they said. A cross
Really?
between a mango and banana kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But their
I like
their
mangoes,
season's
maybe I
only
like
like 3
pawpaws.
weeks, man, and it's like in March or something. So
Okay, that shit
When
ain't
I
gonna
get-
grow up here.
So, Steve, when I get there, what's the first thing I should tour? Being a tourist, what should I see first before I come to the show? I'm going to be there all day Thursday and Friday. What the?
Well, I think two of the coolest things is if you go over to Churchill Downs, they have a museum there. The Churchill Downs Kentucky Derby Museum has all the history of horse racing. You can watch videos of most all the derbies and see a lot of the neat stuff there. And then also in downtown Louisville, there's a section that's called Museum Row that has a lot of other museums. But there's also the Louisville Slugger Museum and the Bat Factory, so you can see them actually make a Louisville Slugger baseball bat, and they'll give you, you take the tour, and they'll give you your own miniature bat that you could take with you.
Oh, nice.
So those are always fun things.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. If you got the time to go over to Fort Knox, they used to have one they used to have the tank, all the tanks
Tank
in
museum, yeah.
the Patton Museum. They used to have all the
Yep.
different tanks and everything. And then when they moved that section to another base, they took all that with them. So basically, what's left is the Patton Museum. It has a lot of memorabilia and stuff from Patton's life, and that it's still worth a
Oh,
visit.
that'd be cool to see. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
They
in the
won't let
tank
you go
museum.
through-
I remember that.
Yeah, they won't let you go through the gold vault though, so they
Yeah.
won't let you get close to it.
oh dang.
No signs this way to the gold vault.
And then if you look on the internet, there's a video out there because lots of scenes from the movie Stripes was filmed at the Fort Knox base and in the city of Louisville. And there's a guy that did a video recently where he went and visited the different scenes. And so I think in Stripes, when they're supposed to be over in a foreign country, now that's really just outside the base at Fort Knox.
Really?
So it's kind of cool.
Wasn't there a James Bond? Wasn't Goldfinger? Wasn't that supposed to be at Fort Knox?
Goldfinger was based on Fort Knox. There's a little bit that was filmed at Fort Knox, and there's actually relatively close to my house is a small airport called Bowman Field, and the scene in Fort Knox where Pussy Galore's airplanes are taking off. Some of that was filmed there, so it's kind of neat. And I think that is one of the oldest airports that's still in existence. I think it celebrated its 100th anniversary a couple years ago.
Oh wow, very
Ah,
cool.
Well, Steve, I want to thank you. It was an honor and a privilege to have you on my show. I'm looking forward to meeting you in a couple of weeks, brother. And if you want to give one last plug for your event coming up, this is your chance to shine, brother. Here you go.
Absolutely. Be sure to check out our webpage, www.kygigl.com. We've got all the details. We've got a list of all the great vendors that are going to be there. We talked about a lot of the 12-inch vendors, so we have a lot of 3 3/4 vendors as well, and a lot of custom makers and just all kinds of different things. Check us out on our Facebook page and our event page. We've tried to put notices out. I've kind of got it set up so every other day we're highlighting one of the vendors that are going to be there, and then we're going to have a big show set, the largest convention set is what we're calling it, with Spy Island, and we're going to start getting some pictures up of some of the different pieces of that to get people excited for it, and we hope you come out and have a great time.
Again,
All
thanks
right.
for joining us tonight.
Awesome.
Mike and Jim, thanks for joining the band tonight. I appreciate
It
it.
was awesome.
And Mike, I'm going to see you next week with Mr. Paul Tuckett, correct?
Oh, you betcha we'll be talking to Jeremy. Oh.
Jeremy will be at the show next week, and there'll be another vendor there. So looking forward to that one. So again, have a good night, and thanks for everybody who's
Right.
watching.
Thanks everybody.
Thanks, Steve. Good night,
Thanks,
everybody.
guys.
Take her easy.